Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Indie Show. I'm super excited to bring again onto the show Melissa Harris. Melissa, how you doing?
Hi, I'm super. I'm great.
Good, good, good. So this is, we're back doing the Indie Show. We had a break for a while. I'm super excited to bring Melissa back on. Melissa was on before, and we kind of talked about a couple of planned topics ahead of time about business. This time, we're just gonna kind of shoot the poop and see. I totally just made that up because I realized I didn't want to cuss live. Um, but we're just gonna see what happens and have a fun chat because I feel like my followers and Melissa's followers, they're just fun. And I love chatting with Melissa. So we're just going to see kind of what comes out of it. We're going to talk personal stuff, business stuff. If you're watching in the comments, say hi. Hey, Lauren, thanks for watching. Lauren Harris is one of my really good buddies here in the greater Chicago area. Lauren, I'm actually in Naperville right now, buddy. So if you are in Naperville, maybe we can do something. I can sneak out. Kat and I are house sitting right now. But Lauren lives in Naperville, so usually I'm not out here on the week, but I am right now. So, Melissa,
Yes.
let's talk about the fact that you just got back from Paris. Was it a couple weeks ago?
Yes. It was last weekend, like 10 days ago. I actually am in a Facebook group of timeshare owners who post their little vacation.
My gosh.
I call it a modern day travel agency.
I love that idea. So is that something that like you can share or not really?
Yes. Oh, I can totally. Like, do you want me to say it right now?
Yeah, if you could say
They'll love
it,
me.
then...
Yeah, they'll love me for sharing it.
Okay, cool.
It's a closed group,
okay.
And it's called Extra Vacations 2, like the number 2. And it's just this conglomeration of people who own timeshares or who work for travel agencies online. I'm not really sure exactly how they are. And so I was kind of nervous about this first thing that I did because it was a lot of money. But I scored us a trip to Paris. It was my husband's birthday and Christmas present.
That's awesome.
Last year. And it's the first time either of us have been overseas. Either of us have even thought it would be possible that we could ever go overseas. And I just thought, like, I save up my little side job money throughout the year.
Yeah.
And then I like to do something special with it. And I got an incredible deal. Like what you would think you would pay for plane tickets, I got the whole vacation. Our hotel was killer. We were about a mile from the Eiffel Tower and a mile from Arc de Triomphe. We were right in the middle. We would go out on the street, look to the left, there's the Eiffel Tower, look to the right, and there's the Arc de Triomphe. It was like mind-blowing.
And it was 10 days?
It was what?
You said it was 10 days?
Oh, no, we have small children. No, it was about 10 days ago. We were there 3 nights, 4 including the night we spent on the plane. But yeah, it was only 3 nights. We were there for 3 full days, which is not enough to do everything in Paris by a long shot. But my husband is a big history buff, and he really enjoyed seeing some of the sites and reading some of the information about it. And I walked probably 50 miles in 3 days with him. It was freezing. So cool. We went to Disneyland Paris, which was my wish.
Ooh.
It was just incredible. I mean, when I say life-changing, I mean like life-changing, literally. I mean, all the history and... Let's
step back a second. So first of all, the group is called Extra Vacations 2?
Right, 2.
Cool. And for some reason, Lauren Harris is giving you trouble about liking Paris. So we'll figure out what that's about.
Sorry.
But can we talk a little bit about what you just said about how you put some money aside in your business for this kind of thing? I don't know where you got that from. I just reread the book Profit First, which you might be familiar with. But it talks about that same concept of every quarter you should be kind of rewarding yourself half of what the profit is in your business. And I think that idea of having the business really work for you and taking money out regularly as like, this is fun money because the business is going well is a great idea.
Yeah. Well, when I started working as an artist, I was actually pregnant with our first kid. So this was 6 years ago. And I realized I was a housekeeper by trade. I scrubbed toilets for money. But I realized I couldn't do that anymore because I was getting bigger and I couldn't stand all the smells of the cleaning supplies and stuff. So I sat down and I started painting Christmas ornaments with oil-based markers for friends. And I was sitting on the couch one night and I said, I wonder if I could put these on Etsy and sell any. And I did, and I sold about 100 that year. And that became my work as an artist. Every year I painted Christmas ornaments. It was just my thing.
Wow.
And so that's how I bought my first embroidery machine, or actually my second embroidery machine. That's how I bought my software to do what I do now. It's always been money I've put back into business somehow. And last year I opened another bank account. I call it my bonus bank account. And I send all the money that I make from that, ornaments, from small jobs that I do, like for neighbors, embroidery. I do, personalizing a beach towel or, whatnot.
Right.
I put that all in my bonus account. And then near Christmas, I've used it a bunch of ways. One year I used a lot of money giving money away. I would go to Target and hand out like $20 bills to people.
Oh my gosh, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Wow.
Every
what gave you that idea?
Because I'm nice.
Oh, you are nice. That's
I'm
so cool.
Really that nice. But it's just fun. I mean, I would see like a mom with crazy children screaming, and I've been there, done that. And I would just walk up to her and go, use this to buy those diapers in your cart, on me. I mean, they don't know me from Adam. It's fun to do. Another thing I love to do is right around the Christmas holiday when we go out for like a family dinner, I like to give the waiter or waitress like $50 tip and be like, Merry Christmas, So I like to do stuff like that with money that I have. Just do something nice. It's good karma.
Yep.
But then, after that, if I want to spend it, I usually get like my kids toys or Christmas gifts, whatever, but they're really spoiled. So last year I was like, you know what, kids, this money this year is for mama. And when I have a video of me telling my husband that we're going to Paris, and he still didn't get it. The whole video he was like, what? And I was like, Paris. And he said, like Tennessee, like Paris, Tennessee. And I'm like, no, Paris, France, on the other side of the world. Yeah. Wow. So that's what I did with like all the money last year. I blew it all.
But that's amazing. And is that something that you see yourself doing more of, is paying for travel?
Oh yeah, for sure. We have plans. If we do well this year, my husband has a job interview, actually, I think today, maybe tomorrow. If and when we get more income coming in where we can have money for like some luxuries, instead of just going from one bill to the next, we would like to buy a small RV, like not the bus kind.
Yeah.
The kind where it's just like a giant van,
Right.
Like
no, my sister is looking into something like that. Yeah.
I think it's called Class C. It's like a big van.
Okay.
And we want to just travel, like while the boys are small and they don't really appreciate like history or, world landmarks and stuff. Go to we're in Nashville. So, a weekend trip to Atlanta, Chattanooga, Louisville, Memphis to see my folks, go to the zoo and, go to all these places. I've been bitten by the bug now, and I just wish I had more money because the bug is very expensive, the travel bug.
Yeah, it is, but it's so amazing. I don't know if you have any family that you like are at all connected with outside of the U.S., but I recently visited my Sicilian second cousins.
Italy! And
it was the coolest experience of my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to go elsewhere in Europe. It's saving,
Yeah, Paris is amazing, and I've heard it's beautiful, but that's an expensive place to visit.
Yeah. Not with the great Facebook group I found.
But no, that's awesome. That's so cool that you got that. And are those only international kind of travel share spots, or is it okay?
No, actually, it's mostly domestic in my experience looking.
Oh, cool.
I just was scrolling one day and saw that, and I thought, why not?
So it's almost like
But
the next level of like the Airbnb
right,
is like
yeah,
seeing that people have timeshares that they aren't planning on using.
right. Modern day travel agency for sure.
So freaking cool. Okay, so you traveled, you liked it. Another thing that happened recently was you brought a friend on board with the team.
I did. My best friend.
So cool. Okay, let's hear more.
My husband, like you, is also an attorney, and he drew up a contract to make sure everything is on the up and up. And my friend, who is one of my closest friends that I've had in 20 years or more, we both signed it, and she is my assistant. And besides feeling really cool for saying that I have an assistant, she takes care of customer service. I direct people to her a lot if they need like a password changed, or if they're having problems with a stitch path or something in their design that they bought. I cut her in for a percentage of the business, so it's not like an hourly wage. It's like she is a part owner of our business, which is a little confusing.
Yep.
But it's been really, really interesting dealing with the friend hat. I was talking to you earlier about like the friend hat and the business partner hat, and knowing when to shoot a text and say, hey, I saw that picture of your kid that, she got a spider bite. How is she doing? And knowing when to say, hey, we need stuff out this week. What are you working on? Or what have you answered? Or
I mean, I feel like it's hard enough for me to have that difference of balance, because like I quickly like develop friendships with the people who are on my team, but to have somebody who's a best friend like that and to be able to switch modes, that takes that takes a lot of work. So do you mind sharing any more details about, because there might be friends who are interested in, or followers who are interested in how you're kind of making this work. So your friend is now a partner of the business.
right.
Are you paying each other's salaries, or is it just still distributions of?
I pay her based on our gross sales
for the month, I guess. Then every week, okay.
And that I don't have any idea how that's going to work out, like tax wise or anything. I still am a big fan of the good folks over at H&R Block. I give them everything, and they tell me what is up.
Yeah.
So it's just a percentage of our sales every week.
Okay.
And that encourages her. I mean, we explored together a lot of different ways to run this. It's like an apprentice. I should say it's also like an apprenticeship. I like to think she's getting some value out of our relationship because she is a fledgling designer, embroidery designer like I am. And I give her a lot of feedback. If she makes a certain project, she can shoot over her file and I'll say, you need to change this, you need to change this, this is not going to be right, and help her with. So it's almost like a paid internship, I think. But so that's kind of how we work together, is like she's an intern, she's being paid, she's doing customer service, she does a lot of engagement like I do, like posting memes and posting pictures and links and stuff like that.
No, I think that's an awesome person to have on your team. And you've been doing this for a while. So for people who might just be hopping on, or might just be starting their business and be thinking about bringing somebody on, what has been your kind of lessons learned in terms of, like, if you need to start delegating work, how do you start that process? How do you typically develop that relationship? Did you kind of start with like interns or contractors?
I think the first step in bringing someone on, whether it's a friend or a stranger, is realizing, and this is another thing that was on my list of things I was thinking about today, realizing that you can't do everything.
Yeah.
You and I are allotted the same 24 hours in a day, and you cannot do everything.
Right.
I think my generation, I'm in my mid 30s. And I think my generation was I was raised by a single mom, and she kind of gave me this impression and empowerment that like you can do everything and you can be mom and dad and you can make money and you can do this and that. And it's like, it was such a shock when my business became successful and profitable to realize that I can't do everything. I can't be customer service, technical support, friend, designer, embroiderer, digitizer. You can't. You just,
right.
There's not and by the way, I have kids and a husband who I kind of like to spend time with.
I don't know how anybody with kids is running a business. Like, seriously. I just
learn to delegate. I mean, I came to a point last fall when I was really working really hard when I realized that I wasn't enjoying my family life. I was spending so much time in the basement. My office is in the basement. That's another way in which I suck. I have an office in my home, and it's a total mess because there's no boundary drawn between office and home. And and so I'm still grappling with changes that I made in 2018 to spend time as a mom, as a wife, and sometimes you turn email off and you just leave your phone at home,
Yeah. So first of all, I completely can relate to the needing boundaries. And one of the things that I've noticed recently is this is a problem that I never thought I'd have. Like, I like my job so much that I can do it all day. And so I need boundaries in place, not because like I have this soul sucking job and it's like I like am pulling my hair out until like 9 p.m. Like, I really enjoy it. And so that makes it in some ways even harder to pull myself away from it. And you're right, having boundaries, I shared that sentiment on Instagram, I think earlier this week or maybe last week. And somebody commented, shout out to Belle from Australia, who commented saying that she recommends changing clothes at least, where when you're done for the day, wardrobe change. And it's a signal to your body that you're done. And I have a shared office space that I work out of, which has been fantastic. And that's another way to kind of create that boundary change. Is getting a place outside of the home kind of on your radar, or is it still something that's you're working with?
Not right now, because it just doesn't make sense to me now. I think it's just a personal shift that I need to make. I love the comment you made about the clothes.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've said many times, like I'm wearing jeans and a tank and a cardigan and a necklace and everything. But up until about 30 minutes ago, I was still wearing my nightgown and Ugg boots, which is what I put on when I wake up, is my nightgown and my Ugg boots to come out into the common family area. And I can't tell you the difference it makes when you change clothes. Like, I'm casual. I don't have to dress up. That's great. But when you're going to work, even if you're going down to your basement, put on some jeans, even a t-shirt and jeans. Yep. Just put on something that tells your body, I'm in work mode now. It is a luxury to work from home. I can wear whatever I want. But when you're in your pajamas all day, you feel like you're in your pajamas all day.
Yeah, totally. But the flip side of that is having pajamas to get into is great. So for the first time ever, my sister for Christmas got me like a PJ set. So there's like the PJ top and the bottoms. Right. Yeah. And I love it because I could wear PJ pants all day. But when I put that top on, it's like, okay, now it's time for bed.
Time for bed.
And so I've been taking, again, that Belle from Australia with the Instagram comments tip to heart. And at like 6, 7, assuming that I'm kind of done with work for the day, I put on my PJ set.
Yeah.
And it was pretty funny. The other day, I hopped on a video call with like the pajama set on, and it's plaid. So I guess it could kind of go kind of like
hipster plaid shirt.
Hipster plaid shirt. But by the end of the call, I was like, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but yes, I am wearing like PJs right now. And they were like, no, we all thought that you were just wearing like lumberjack plaid gear. So no, yeah, tip, definitely just kind of get like a PJ wardrobe or like an out of office wardrobe. Another thing that I have been wrestling with is, again, I get in the zone really easily when I like the work that I'm doing, and it's so easy for me to not eat lunch because I just forget about time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get better at either pre-planning the lunch and then like setting a timer for myself to actually eat it.
Yeah.
Or having like a really good option of, if I forgot lunch, I can call Jimmy John's and they'll be here in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Lightning fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that too. That's how, and I love my job. I mean, I still can't believe that I make money being creative and doing embroidery and doing what I do.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? This idea that like we create something that we like and then magically like we've been able to turn it into a business.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do that too. Like I forget to eat or my basement office doesn't have a bathroom because it was a theater room. And so I'll be like, I have to go to the bathroom. Then I'm like, but I can just embroider one more thing. And so I'm like standing there, like doing the pee-pee dance, like trying to embroider one more thing. And it's important to remember, especially as a parent, especially as a mom and a woman, is that you have to take care of yourself first. And that, I guess, you come full circle, like when you talk about going overseas in a long plane trip. One of the first things they say is, when the oxygen mask drops down, please put your own on before you take care of others. You got to focus on taking care of yourself, and that, especially as a parent, it's like with so much stuff, if you're not on top of your game, you're going to fail at everything. I mean,
yeah, well, I can totally empathize with that. I mean, I'm a man, I don't have kids. And so I know that I don't feel it, but my mom was a mom to 7 kids. And she was very much, I have to take care of all of the kids plus my dad, which is like an 8th kid.
Yeah.
Before I get to like do self-care stuff. And so I never really thought about her as anything beyond a mom for so long. And then a couple years ago, we go on a family vacation and I was like, hey mom, what's your favorite color? And she's like, I haven't thought about that in like 25 years.
Oh my God. Moms are people too.
Yeah. I love that.
Moms are humans.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. Hi mom, if you're watching. I don't think she watches these, but if you're watching, hi. She is in my group every once in a while. I tag her. It's pretty cute.
Oh my God.
So we talked a lot about like the importance of creating boundaries, of delegating when you can in your business, and the importance of, realizing that you don't have all of the time in the day to get stuff done. And so there's delegating, and then there's also just figuring out what you need to just chop from your to-do list and say it's not even worth doing. And you recently wrote a blog post, right, about kind of that topic and figuring out what's worth pursuing and not.
I did. I think it was like last year sometime. I was suffering from some like creative block, and I was branching out into, I create embroidery designs. That's what I do. And there are probably thousands of styles of embroidery projects you can do, from embroidering logos on polo shirts for mechanics to a birthday, putting a name on a birthday shirt for a kid, to making little things like, I've had these next to me to show you.
I've heard about these.
little keychain, lip balm holders. I mean, there are probably thousands of embroidery projects. And as a designer of these things, it's like I kind of get to oh, a shiny thing, oh, a squirrel. Like, should I make fonts, or should I do people's logos, or should I make lip balm holders, or should I do applique for birthday parties? And I think last year I wrote a blog called Diffusion versus Distraction, with diffusion being the good thing that's like when to branch out a little bit, like, and expand your reach a little bit, like the next level or the closest thing, versus distraction, which would be like, oh, a squirrel, and then you go chasing that squirrel off in another direction. And it's something that you're spanked with pretty quickly when your followers don't care, because that's not you. Stick with your own style, and you can diffuse where you do something close, but don't distract. Don't hit people with too many crazy things, because they followed you for a reason.
Right. And I really like that. I really like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that I saw a post from you on my timeline with those lip balm holders where you asked, like, hey, you guys, like, is this really something that you want? Like, you were confirming that it was something that they wanted, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did I see that?
Yeah.
And so I really I liked that, because I think sometimes people are afraid to just ask your followers, like, hey, do you guys like or want this or not? And really seeing the response there. And I think it's a little bit of a two-edged sword, where you want to take into account like the demand, and then you also want to take into account, like, even if this is something that my people might want, is it something that I can do that is still going to be profitable? Right. I'm not going to be spending so much time on it that I'm, going to be drowning in this project, even if people like it.
Right. Well, the good thing about that with my business in particular is that I make embroidery designs. It's a digital file. Yep. So if I have a new idea, which I did a couple of weeks ago, and they went bananas. The little hand sanitizers?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's the post that I saw. Okay.
Somebody asked me for a hand sanitizer keychain, and I have them in there in the next room if you want to see one. It's a keychain that holds your hand sanitizer. Okay, they totally sell them at Bath & Body Works right next to the hand sanitizer. But my followers asked me for one, and so I looked out, and there were only one or two other options, so I thought, okay, sure. They went, the embroidery world version of viral. They went crazy, and people are still, like, my whole group of 15,000 people is all hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer.
Now, when you say it went crazy in your industry, do you mean that you kind of created the way for other businesses to kind of make and sell them, or you're selling them to your followers?
I sell, excellent. I sell the digital file to make them. You have to have an embroidery machine to use what I sell. I don't sell the physical item. I make the pattern. It's like, that's what I thought, yeah. When your grandma made clothes for you and she had the newspaper patterns. I do that, but in digital form. And your embroidery machine knows what to do when you give it the pattern.
I see. Okay. Can we talk a little bit about how you feel about, like, legally protecting that type of work? Because it seems to me like that's a difficult type of business industry to have really strong exclusive rights to, like, there are people who can really easily take that file and maybe resell it on their own store. What's your mindset around, like, the your ability to legally protect what you sell?
Well, we being married to an attorney, we have had a couple of instances where someone did literally buy my file and then just resell it. Like, they didn't change anything. They just were acting like this was their intellectual property. And we contacted Etsy and contacted their website host and had it removed. Now, as far as if you want to say like copying, like people doing the same thing, often there's really nothing to do about that. I wasn't the first person to think of this hand sanitizer case. I love to say that in my group, there's been several customers saying, oh, so-and-so is copying you and so-and-so is copying you. And one thing I like to make clear is that I didn't come up with this. The people who made this one particular project go viral are the people in my group. They are the ones that create the popularity. I just plotted some points on software and sold it to them. And other designers are more than welcome to do their own spin on the same type of project. I wasn't the first and I won't be the last. The only thing where it's very frustrating is when someone uses elements of your design that were unique to your design. Like there are a few things that I did to my design to make it stand out because I knew that it was more, it was easier to stitch that way. And that's how my brain works. And I have seen one or two people come out with like designs where they ripped off the very elements of mine that made it different. Yeah. And as far as how to deal with that, I could have my husband send them like a cease and desist on my unique intellectual property. Is it worth it when I could also spend my time designing more stuff that will sell as well? Probably.
I love that approach. And I'm going to make a note to see if I can clip what you just said in the future for people, because I think that's such a healthy mindset to have. Because what I try and tell a lot of businesses that contact me whenever their stuff is being copied or they think it's being copied, I tell them, look, there's a legal way to think about this and there's a business way to think about this. Yep. And legally, they may or may not be infringing on your work. But business-wise, especially if you are a typical product-based, maybe Etsy, e-commerce seller, you just don't have the time and the money to be policing this kind of stuff. And so you can have a healthy dose of bodyguarding what you're protecting, but you can't let that clutter up your mindset or the time, like we just talked about, the limited time that you have to be your business.
Well, and my husband, being an attorney, people think that means that I just have unlimited access to his, he can just draw up letters bullying people all the time. And, his time is valuable too. I don't have to tell you, an attorney's time, he could be working on a project that he can turn in for, X amount of money, or he can be doing my embroidery world bidding, so in many instances, it's not worth either of our time. And it's just, there are always going to be people out there. There's so many different, especially in the creative world, there's so many facets. There are people who do similar things to yours. There are people who outright rip you off sometimes. Yeah. But is it worth your time and money and all that to deal with it? Or do you just push through? Because I have a pretty loyal following now. Our Facebook group is up almost to 15,000 and people will buy my things first.
That is amazing.
And they circumvent all these other hangers on, So it's just not worth my time or his time.
Real quick, to other people who might be listening, who might be growing Facebook groups around their businesses, any quick tips or maybe kind of reactions to the recent Facebook changes?
Ugh, they're so bad. They're always bad. Yeah. It's so hard to get used to. I don't even pay attention to Facebook changes anymore. I keep pretty much. I could probably do more in the realm of getting to know the ads and stuff like that. But really, our engagement is so high that I don't even really pay attention to that anymore. I kind of stay the course of posting sneak peeks, posting oldies but goodies, like things that I did a couple of years ago that could be popular now, staying on trend with holidays and what kind of designs are cool now, and also giving people a little peek into my personal life sometimes. posting a picture of my kids wearing something cute that I made them. Like I always try to, I don't do like gratuitous, family or selfies or anything like that, but I try to tie in a little bit of my personal life with something that I've created. It's so funny. My most liked posts ever are with my dog, who's lying right next to me right now.
I can totally relate.
My kids, me smiling, all made up, and my wedding, like all this stuff. They don't give a crap. They want to see the dog. Like people love dogs.
I know. I don't know where my dog went, but I can totally relate. I post a picture of Mr. Feeney, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna follow you because you have a cute dog." Like,
more pictures of the dog.
Yeah, no, it was funny because when I went to visit my Sicilian relatives, like I was talking about earlier, one day that we were together, we were just sitting on this on the balcony of this like piazza. Just kind of like this open space in the neighborhood. And I had my nicer camera and I just asked him to take a really quick picture of me because like the background was really pretty. Yeah. And so I used that picture as my headshot, like even professionally with my business for the past like year and a half. And as soon as I started my business, everybody was like, Joey, you need like a good headshot. And I kind of just pushed that aside to kind of just prove them wrong. But a couple of weeks ago, I was like, it's time. I should probably get a headshot that's like legit, where like it just looks a little bit nicer than like this picture that was snapped of me in Italy. And so I worked with Ingrid Bond, I think is her last name, here in Chicago, and she came over to my office and we did maybe like a half-hour shoot, but it quickly turned into like, Joey, we're taking pictures of you with your dog for 40 minutes. Like she was like, yeah, that's what's good. Exactly. That's what's like the moneymaker in these shots. Yeah.
Darn dogs. Eggy, come here. Come here.
Anybody who's working on getting photo shots ready, just have your dog ready because it helps.
There he is. Oh, shut up.
What's your dog's name?
His name is Edgar Allan Poe.
Is he a licker too? Because my dog is a huge.
They
licker.
all are. He's a big protector. He barks at like leaves, the UPS guy, trees.
There's something about UPS guys.
It's like the brown. Yeah, dogs don't like.
So my dog Feeney, he's not a bodyguard whatsoever. He chases butterflies.
You're gonna get the most comments now that you're talking about your dog.
I know. He's in the room with me. I think I just don't know where he went to.
Like everybody, bring dogs on the screen.
I know, right? But no, I think that's a good point. I was talking to a friend of mine who is pretty good with Instagram, and she was telling me that recently pictures of herself are doing so much better than even like quote cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pictures with yourself and your dog are like the next level.
Yeah. It's engagement. I mean, in as much as you're comfortable with. I mean, obviously, there's safety precautions, and when you have a ton of followers, I know some people aren't comfortable sharing a lot, but I mean, there are some things you can do that are, aren't kind of threatening to your personal life. And I think people really react to that. Not only just the picture itself, like the content of it, but like the fact that you're willing to share a little bit of your personal life in your business.
Yeah.
Because you are a person.
I totally agree. I think that my, the brand of Indie Law has really been at its strongest when I've combined, providing value to my followers who are wanting to follow me for legal reasons with being selectively vulnerable on the human side. Mm-hmm. And, something that I've learned is, especially when it comes to Instagram, like Instagram is a place for people to get to know you, even if it's a business account. It's a place for people to engage with you at a more human level. And so, yeah, I think that especially with like all of these algorithm changes and whatever, I think that the secret sauce to continuing to be relevant and to have organic reach is to staying human, like I did at the beginning of my show when I just developed my own phrase and said we were going to shoot the poop. Melissa, I absolutely love having you on. I love kind of the real conversations that we have about, kind of where things are with you right now. We can wrap up in a little bit, but are there any, and feel free to be like, Joey, I don't have a whole lot of time, but are there any kind of either recent lessons learned in the business or kind of current struggles with the business that you're facing?
I think boundaries, again, really are very important. And I'm learning that in my personal life. Most people already know, who follow my page, that we have 2 older relatives who live with us.
Oh, wow.
And our house is really busy, and it's also really full. And sometimes it feels like the boundaries, we have a little bit of informal boundaries, if you will, with sharing common spaces and such. And it's really hard putting a business into all that. It's already hard to be daughter-in-law and mom and wife all in the same place. It's even harder to be business owner in that place too. But I want to tell you really quick, some changes I made in 2018 that are helping me set boundaries. One, I bought a watch, like a real watch. It does have a bee on it. So it goes along with my little theme. I bought a watch, and I don't use my phone for timekeeping purposes anymore. Like if I go out with my family, I might not take my phone in, but guess what? I got my watch. And hey, I can still tell time. It is like riding a bike. You still remember. Number 2, I turned off my Etsy emails to my email account. I only see my Etsy messages when I go into my Etsy account. Number 3, I unsynced, if that's a word, my Gmail from my cell phone completely. Unfortunately, all this talk about not being on social media when you're at home isn't going to work for me because my job is on Facebook. I do make money directly related to how much I'm engaged with my customers on Facebook, so I can't turn that off. But I did turn off the syncing function of Gmail with my phone. So when I have my phone next to me, if I'm playing with my kid or if I'm watching TV or whatever, that email doesn't pop up saying, what's the answer to this? What's the answer to that? Where's this? Where's that? When I sit down at my computer, that's when I see my emails. They're not synced up. And number 4, I wake up early, which I absolutely despise with every bone in my body, but the world is going to start without me if I don't. So at 35 years old, I finally realized I have to wake up, and I wake up every morning almost exactly at 6:30 so that I can start my day and get at least one little task out of the way before my kids wake up and the dog gets in there and my husband wakes up and all that stuff. And I found that incredibly helpful.
Those were awesome tips. And
rapid fire.
They were great. And I can totally attest to, phones are they can be such a reactionary device where you're always kind of responding to the pop-ups or the notifications or the emails or whatever that come through. And yes, as business owners, there are certain apps. I tried going without Facebook for a while, and I realized as a business owner, it was just, I kept reinstalling it and then deleting it. But I think that whatever you can do to minimize the things that prevent you from being proactive and purposeful about how you're planning your day. Otherwise, and I mean, I'm still suffering through it and getting better at it because I try and make myself as available as I can be for my clients. But at the same time, I don't need to respond to a concern that they raise within an hour.
Right.
And they know that if it's an emergency, there's a certain way that they can get a hold of me. And so one of the tips that's been super, super helpful to me, I've mentioned this a couple times already in my group, but I started working with a woman named Elaine Quinn. She has a business called the Solopreneur, or the Solopreneur Specialist, I think. And she is a big expert when it comes to like productivity coaching. And one of the things that she's got me doing that's been super helpful is not necessarily replacing, but taking my to-do list and morphing it into a calendar thing. And so everything that is on my to-do list, rather than me working off of them from my to-do list, it gets put into my calendar. So I really have a good sense of how much time stuff's taking. I get, because it's in the calendar, I get that sense of, I have these 20 things on my to-do list, but now that I've mapped out how long I think everything's going to take me, like, I'm understanding that there are limits to what I can get done in a day. And what's great about it is that I'm like batching certain stuff together. And if for whatever reason that doesn't get done for the day, or I get closer and then something else becomes a priority, it's really easy to just kind of take that batch of kind of a work session that I've already created for myself and just bump it to the next day.
Right.
And so using my calendar more as a to-do list has been a super helpful way of being more kind of purposeful and in planning mode of how I'm going to use the day.
I can see that because I'm a big to-do lister, and I have notebooks. I showed you before we went on. I've got this. I printed out a little Excel spreadsheet. I'm working on state keychains this week, and there's 50 states.
Oh, okay.
It's got each state on it. You can make it in this kind or this kind, and it's a lip balm.
Fun.
It holds a lip balm. No particular brand, just a lip balm. So obviously there's 50 of them. So I made myself a little spreadsheet to check off as I make them. But I'm such a big list maker, and I have notebooks on Post-its, on, my kids' coloring books. Everywhere I have lists. And that's a really good idea to take. It's funny because last year I printed my own planner and sold it in my Facebook group. And yet I don't really use my own planner, I think, as effectively as I could. And that's a really interesting thing to sit down, instead of having this big list of, like, it seems infinite, take certain things and say, look, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this day. And then I'm done. And then I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8 on this day. And it also helps you keep in touch with when you stop and go into husband mode or wife mode or mom mode or whatever.
Well, that was one of my favorite things about it was she said, Joey, like, one of the things that we've been talking about is that, like, you're not spending enough, like, purposeful time with your family. And that's something that I'm working on. And she goes, put that in your calendar. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And she was like, you're not putting it on anybody else's calendar. Your wife doesn't need to know that, like, you put time with the wife on your own calendar.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a pretty cool idea. And so I do plan on putting together like a blog post summarizing the book that she wrote. And I'll provide a link into the comments once that's done. As well as I found we've got the link to Elaine and the Solopreneur Specialist on there, but we're going to be writing a blog post summarizing the book that she gave me. It's been super helpful that I've been working off of. And it's great. I was able to find a legal pad, but instead of just lined notes, it's separated into columns. And so it's supposed to be a weekly checklist, but the columns are kind of, instead of just all being projects, certain parts in the column are dedicated to how long do you think that this will take you, what type of energy level is required to get it done, and certain types of questions that I write it out on that legal sheet, and it's more because I write down the times it'll take me and stuff. It's really easy to then take it from that sheet to the calendar.
Right. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll share it, and we have such. I love your blog posts too. So maybe this can be just a video where we just always just kind of drop good blog posts that are kind of relevant to the topics that we talk about. Well, Melissa, I love having you on. We're gonna probably do it again soon. Any final words of wisdom or things that you want to say?
Kind of my theme so far over the last 6 weeks has been just, as a creative person, take care of yourself and know what to spend your time on and what to skip. That's been my motto for life. I love it. All right. Well, with that, I'll let you go, Melissa, and everybody else. Have a great week, and talk to you guys soon. Bye.